Welcome to the Podfather podcast. You can find all our episodes on podfather.me. You can find all my other 6 shows, scan the QR code or go to roycollin.com. If you're looking for virtual assistants, go to va.world. We've packages from $99. My guest is CEO and managing partner of ASP, helping local brands scale through smart marketing, real relationship, and strategic use of AI. He's from the Detroit metropolitan area in the US of A. Please welcome Joel Keach.
Hey, how's it going, Roy?
Not too bad. So basically, why I said the surname a bit different is like kind of Keith, but we had a discussion that you've got your Scottish heritage. And yeah, I was mightily impressed the way that the whole last, and you've been to Scotland and everything. So you might just kind of let the listeners know so they get to know you a bit better.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So ASP brand, what's ASP?
So it's kind of an iteration over the years. So originally started off, our company started as Atomic Souls Productions, and that's what ASP stands for. We were heavily focused on branding and content creation. So a lot of graphic design, web design, print flyers, mailers, all kinds of stuff, like social media management, things like that. Over time, our company kind of grew past that into more of the overall marketing. So we went from Atomic Souls Productions to ASP branding, and then we kind of just hyphen it all to ASP for now because we are a full service digital marketing agency.
Okay. And I suppose kind of get to know your own kind of journey, how your kind of career path, how you got into all this.
Yeah, for sure. So I started in marketing, kind of on and off, probably about 15 years ago, just in some social media management, working for a nonprofit, doing just social media posts and keeping up and with engagement and things like that. Social media itself wasn't a passion project, if you will, but as it kind of grew and discovered more of kind of that marketing bone inside me. It went well beyond just social media management. I love doing paid advertising. We specialize in local service businesses and home service professionals, helping them grow their businesses, getting more brand recognition, things like that. But I had a series of companies over the years that were focused towards photo and video production. My wife went to school for photojournalism. She taught me how to use a camera. And then we started picking up weddings and family photo sessions and things like that. And that grew into me shooting a lot more video. Video production kind of took off for us. Started my own video production company, and it did well for a couple of years. And we had a lot of clients coming to us asking us, hey, do you know any marketers? Do you know any marketers? And finally got tired of sending the money somewhere else. So I started doing it on my own with a partner of mine. And that company grew. And then eventually we got connected with ASP, and ASP ended up acquiring the company that I had started. So I've been here with ASP for coming up on 3.5 years now.
No, very good, very good. So I suppose if we kind of look at this from, say, the podcasters, I'm not sure, do you have clients that are podcasters? Because I mean, if you're going on shows, maybe sometimes, because I mean, that's what I do. People come on the show and sometimes they click the box. Do you have clients that are podcasters?
Yeah. So not only have I done a few podcasts myself, but we do have a couple of our clients that are coaches and podcasters. And a lot of our focus is around helping them with growing their podcast channels and their outlets through organic and paid strategies. And then also helping them with the actual content creation. So as they shoot their episodes, getting it sent over, doing long form edits, breaking it down into social media clips and edits and stuff like that for them to use on socials.
And I mean, there's so many different socials, and then there's different hashtag strategies for each one. And then it changes. Like,
right.
What's the best? Because sometimes people, they tend to try to be on 50 of them because they think they're missing out. But for like, are you better off kind of getting one, get it organized, or go to 3? Do you have a strategy for the best way of building it instead of trying to be everywhere?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say that it's beneficial to be on as many platforms as you can, especially with podcasting. But it all really comes down to like where your listeners are. So for example, we've worked with some podcasters that are more of like, kind of homestead or like, they're trades guys or whatever. So usually platforms like YouTube and Instagram are a lot more viable for them. They get a lot more views, clicks and engagement versus something like a TikTok or Twitter or something like that. But then there's other guys that are coaches, maybe they're business coaches or something like that. When they do podcast episodes and we release the content for them, they'll do better on TikTok or Instagram. So it really just kind of depends on your capabilities as a podcaster. If you're hiring someone, have them do as many as possible. If you're doing it yourself, I would say try to focus on a couple platforms that you can do really, really well until you have a system or a platform in place that can help you distribute the content easier.
With video, are you penalized with YouTube when you're putting it out to other video channels? Like,
You mean
because like they know that you're, because usually people have a system, they'll blast it to Rumble, BitChute, maybe a Dossie, and there's a load out there. But rather than just keeping it on the one, because I see some people, they just grow a YouTube channel or they just grow a TikTok, and there's others, and I'm just curious because I mean with AI and everything, are they able to see it and go, hey, he's trying to be everywhere? Not to give him the eyeballs, give it to the yourself because you're only there.
Yeah, so each platform has its own kind of benefits and pros and cons, if you will, strengths and weaknesses. So for YouTube, YouTube is obviously owned by Google, and there is a search engine optimization factor that comes into play. YouTube is super beneficial for podcasters because of that. People that are searching for particular topics or answers to questions, if you can format your podcast in a certain way, if you can write the descriptions for your video episodes or your medium or short form clips in a certain way, they can actually populate in your search engine results in Google. So if you have a specific podcast that talks about or answers questions that there's a specific community online that are looking for, framing that properly can help you show up in Google search results, which could ultimately drive traffic, engagement, and new subscribers and followers and listeners across all platforms. I always recommend that, especially with like YouTube, for example, having all of your links in the descriptions to all the different places, because if they connect with you on YouTube, but like, hey, I don't usually listen to podcasts on YouTube. I listen to them on Spotify or I listen to them on Apple or, Rumble, whatever. Then if your link is there, then they're going to go on to that platform of choice and then follow you there. As far as uploading, shorter videos to different social media platforms, haven't seen any penalties for uploading the same content to different platforms. We do that for all of our clients. The only caveat is things like Instagram can't link out on a post. So, and then, Facebook, they penalize you if you're trying to take them away from the app. So if you have, let's say, a video or an image or a post on Facebook and it includes a link that's outside of Facebook, they usually penalize the content there because they don't want you to leave the Facebook platform.
And like with the search engine optimization, you're allowed to put one kind of keyword on YouTube. Should you be doing it that the keyword is relevant to that episode or that it's relevant to the podcast? So for example, say the meditation podcast, are you putting meditation stuff or are you putting, if someone's talking about breath work or they're talking about, chakras or something like that, should you put, say, chakras?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a couple different areas of YouTube that you can utilize to help get your content found. I would say that, when you're creating your actual title for your video, there's a specific like focus keyword that I would have in there. So a lot of the podcasts that I've worked with before, they keep it simple. So episode, number, and then they'll say like a nice catchy title with whoever the guest is. And in that catchy title, having those keywords that you really want to be seen for. But then in the description itself, you can also have in your description additional keywords that can help with the actual search features inside of YouTube. In addition to that, every post that you make, whenever you upload the video to YouTube, you can use tags, and I think it's up to like 500 characters. So each one of those tags can be its own keyword that you add in there to help support, the main focus keywords for that video. So that's how I would utilize it. And then, your channel too, you can add specific tags that are for your channel that can be the specific keywords that you'd like to rank for.
And I used to always kind of have the episode number. And I see lots of people, do that and some don't. So you could have like the hash and then the number or episode number. And then someone said, nobody's searching for that to leave that out or have it at the end. Does that hurt you? Does it really matter when someone does a search for something? And even if you have the exact thing in the title, but you've got, say, the hash and episode number, say 250, or put down episode 250 and then the keyword, are you being like, does that penalize you, or will it the search engine actually pick up on just the wording?
I don't think it'll penalize you as far as being found in search. I think where it comes down to is conversion rate. So like in this instance, your conversion is the title that you make. And if someone stumbles upon it, you want them to click on it, right? That's your conversion metric. You want them to click on the video and then watch your content. So I think it comes down to more of the psychological aspect of the title itself. So depending on the person and what their intention is for finding that answer. So if they want to listen to a podcast about a specific topic, I don't think the episode or EP or number and then a number sign and then the episode number, I don't think that's going to make a difference. But if somebody's looking for a specific answer on a topic or they want to listen to a specific topic and then you have that in there, if they're looking for something shorter, they're probably not thinking, hey, let me go listen to a podcast episode, because typically podcast episodes are not short in compared to the standard for grabbing attention and keeping attention these days. So I think it's more of a psychological thing and kind of the mindset of the viewer at that time.
Because I actually preferred it, because if someone is following you, you're making it easy because they'll remember which ones they've watched, as opposed to trying to remember the title. Because, there's one that I follow and he does never give that. And the only way you know is by seeing Spotify and it shows that it was played, but otherwise you'll never remember it, because, when you get the big numbers. With the thumbnails then, because some people they're using Canva and all these different things, and others are using the AI. And sometimes, like, say, vidIQ or TubeBuddy and things like that help you design it. Does it make any difference whether you use the AI or you actually design it yourself? Do you get more rewarded if it's a self-designed graphic for the thumbnail?
I haven't seen that to be the case. Usually the thumbnail itself is more of the attention grabber. So that's why the traditional YouTube thumbnail is kind of obnoxious when it comes to designs. There's always a ton of elements in there, and it's made to kind of like shock and grab your attention with highlighting colors and different text sizes and fonts and pictures or images or whatever. I try to recommend for our clients that when you create a YouTube thumbnail, to be in the kind of like the element of YouTube thumbnails where you still want something that grabs attention, but don't make it too busy to where it's over the top. So I usually try to stick between 3 to 4 design elements for a YouTube thumbnail. And I always recommend having the text in your YouTube thumbnail be different than the title itself, not having the same text, because it's two opportunities. They're going to, when you're searching for videos and in your search results in YouTube, you see a thumbnail text and you see a title. Very rarely do people actually go and like read any of the description or anything of the video before they click into it. The title is what grabs them and the thumbnail combination. So if you can have a thumbnail that has a nice kind of clickbait title to it, and then you have a title that has, supporting information in that text as well, then I think that that's a lot more likely to get people to convert by clicking on your content and at least watching some of it before determining whether or not this is a video they want to stay on.
And because like I'm studying a load of different ones and just watching the way they're doing it. And what kind of happens is there's a load now, and they'll have like say the wording, and they'll have one word that's highlighted as a different color just to grab your attention. But what I'm seeing is everyone seems to be doing it now, and I don't know, is it working as well? And I'm just curious, what's your thoughts on that one?
I think it's more of a trend thing. AI is definitely getting more and more powerful. It's getting smarter and smarter every day. There are a lot of things now where, like, I was even listening to a video just this morning. Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about how on Instagram, like hashtags are becoming irrelevant because the AI algorithms are actually able to essentially read the text on screen that you put in the captions, or they're reading your lips essentially to see what you're talking about. So hashtags now have become more of a classification for the search pages on Instagram, like your discovery page, versus actually helping you be found in other feeds. So I think that as that grows and Google's AI is getting really, really good now, that there's probably going to be some element of what your thumbnail text is will play into a part of how you get found and how well you get found. The design elements, I'm not so sure if we're there yet. I think it's probably more of just the actual words that are being used. We're probably still 6 to 12 months out, in my opinion, from that being like very, very prevalent. But I think it is coming.
And with TikTok, because I played around with that and I tried all the hashtags and everything. And kind of, if you look at the analytics, it's kind of showing you where they're coming from. And then I realized it didn't make a difference. I stopped using them, and it was getting kind of the same results. And tried it again now just today, so I see it doesn't make a difference. But what's your experience with hashtags on TikTok?
I still like to do hashtags on TikTok. I like to, for our clients, I like to kind of mix our hashtag strategy. So I usually use around 6 or 7 hashtags at the most. Usually it's 1, 2, maybe 3 that are relevant to the video. Then I'll have maybe one that's trending, and then 1 or 2 that are brand specific. So for example, one of our clients is a home inspector here in the States, and he posts videos 6 days a week on TikTok. He's grown from last June we started with him. He was at 360 something followers, I believe. He's coming up on 34,500 followers right now, so right around 12 months. But we like to use a lot, like 2 to 3 branded hashtags. And then I always include the FYP hashtag, so the for your page. That one I think is the only one that I've seen actually make a difference when using it or not using it.
When you say, because I've seen a for your page, is like, explain that.
Yeah, so on TikTok, the discovery page essentially is called the For You page. So if you're just wanting to mindlessly scroll through TikTok and it's not in your direct feed, you can go to the For You page and you just scroll them. And people that have the hashtag FYP, or there's some variations of that standing for You page, usually get populated there. I mean, it's not just you put it on there and then you're going to get populated on the For You page. You still have to have good content. You have to have stuff that people are watching. TikTok's algorithm is interesting on how it releases content. And I think this has evolved over the years, but from my understanding still is when you release content, it gets released to kind of like a geographical area. So something that's relatively close to your location that you set when you set up the account. If it reaches a certain amount of virality in your local area, it then gets pushed out to a more regional area. And then if it surpasses a certain standard there, then it'll get pushed out to more of like a national or worldwide push. So the For You page, essentially, if you land on the For You page, typically your videos get seen a lot more and it drives up your view count.
Yeah, excellent. And paid then, paid advertisement, because there's organic and paid. And my experience is with some businesses that when you're trying to do it organically and then you start doing paying, but you don't want to be paying all the time, and the organic gets hurt because they just want you to keep paying. Yeah, that's kind of just the way it is. So there's so many different things out. Even TikTok does, advertisements, and Google, obviously. I've seen a lot of people create strategies, Facebook and everything, but there's so many people are spending way more than they actually get back. I mean, because if you can get it, whether it's a certain percentage, what's the best kind of strategy that people should do when looking at paid marketing, as well as trying to keeping the organic side of it?
Yeah. Specifically to podcasting, you really, again, you have to go back to look at where are your listeners and where do you currently get the best return. from an organic perspective. So do you have people reaching out to you on Instagram, or are they reaching out on TikTok? Are they reaching out via your email or something because they watched a YouTube video, or they're, commenting on your YouTube videos? What is the means of them reaching out to you? Where do you get the most engagement? And then that is where I would start to focus if you're really wanting to move into a paid scenario. YouTube, I've found that if you run an ad to push to a specific video to help with subscriber and follower count, stopping those doesn't have as big of an impact as, say, like TikTok or Instagram. TikTok especially, it is very, very evident when you stop actually paying for ads to run, follower counts or engagement increase or whatever it is. As soon as you turn those ads off, like, your organics are going to plummet, unless you just have really, really, really good content. But 9 times out of 10, your organics are definitely going to suffer, and it's going to be that way for a while. Um, and I think too that the difference, like, you can see a lot better results if you actually advertise through the TikTok ad platform and not just boosting your posts and stuff inside of the app. Boosting posts inside of the app is the worst way to run any sort of like paid advertising campaign for followers or engagement or anything. It's definitely a lot higher cost, both for reach, higher cost for impression, higher cost per follower, whatever it is that conversion or metric that you're tracking. I would highly advise, if you're going to do anything with paid advertising through TikTok, you do it through the ad store.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with you there, because there was some videos I got, get 10,000 views, 13,000 views, and then I said, okay, I'll pay, and I done a few, and it's affected the account. It's like it's never got any, and I like every few would get decent numbers, and it's never got anything near that since I done that. So I don't. And regarding paying then for, like, if you're, so what you're saying is, like, if you're, say, a coach, advertising your service in the TikTok, does that work? Does it not on your own platform, but that you're creating the ad that goes out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on the type of coach, you'll have better success one way or another. For instance, I have one of my clients right now is he's building his coaching program where it's fractional COO essentially. So he will be like your operations person that comes in, helps you be more efficient in your business. His target audience are people that are doing at least $1 to $3 million in revenue every year. Really looking more in like the 5 to 10 range, typically in like consumer packaged goods or manufacturing or something like that. Most CPG and manufacturing business owners that are doing $5 to $10 million aren't looking for coaches on TikTok. Now, YouTube or Instagram, that's definitely different when we're talking about business coaching. But I would say that if you have like, you're doing, let's say, for marketing coaching, like if I was to go out and I wanted to coach other marketers in building their marketing brand, Instagram and TikTok would be two great spots that I would start at, as well as YouTube. So it just really kind of depends on who you're marketing to, where do they spend their time, what platforms they're on. Again, all of this comes down to, your analytics, setting up your right key performance indicators, setting up your analytics dashboard, watching the numbers, see where people are viewing you and engaging with you, and then meeting them there with the ads.
And excuse me, what kind of spend regarding, just say they're doing high ticket, maybe 1,000, 3,000, what percentage should people be paying to get a sale? Because sometimes people, they'll go away. I mean, I've worked with a lot of different people, and get how they're doing it. And some people think they spend $20 a day and they're going to get a lot of clients and everything when they're doing, say, 10K items. My experience is the best that I've ever seen that we were able to do stuff was at 10%, and it's typically 20 to 30. And I'm just curious about what you're finding.
Yeah, so I think this more so comes down to your overall marketing budget, and then your percentage of like cost per good. So if you're a coach, you don't really have a ton of expenses as far as your costs. It's your time. You obviously have to pay yourself. You'll have resources you'll develop up front that you have to utilize. If you do online coaching where you're just getting them to come into an online course, obviously you have your hosting fees and course creations and things like that happen up front, but there's not a whole lot of recurring costs. really marketing is your biggest recurring cost. So in that instance, I would say spend as much as you can from your revenue on marketing to drive more. Constantly be changing ad copies and creatives and things like that. Find something that works and then go all in on it. Um, yeah, it's different for like our typical niche for like our marketing agency when we're working with home service businesses, even companies that are doing $1 to $3 million in revenue a year. I tell them, hey, you need to spend at least 3 to 5 grand a month, and they're like, there's no way I can spend that. And it's like, well, that's really only if you look at it, the baseline should be probably about 4%, 4 to 7% of your revenue should be spent in marketing. And that's brand awareness, that's administrative services, that's your tech stack, that's your ad spend. So I would look at it that way. It's like, what are you actually bringing in, and then taking a percentage of that. Having good accounting in this instance is going to be the determining factor of how much you spend.
And some people, they have a few different products, whether it's a book, or they try to get them in free, and they kind of nurture them through to the big end.
Right.
Are you better off having separate marketing packages, like one do it that way and the other go for the big boys, because it's too much work to kind of nurture them to get them to say maybe the 3K or the 10K client? What's your experience in that?
If you're marketing on social media, I would highly recommend not just pushing the high ticket item. The high ticket is more of an upsell. What works best in any sort of funnel that I've seen, that I've done research on, that I've seen any other marketer do, it's a free lead magnet or an extremely low ticket item. Once you get them into that, then it's a nurture through the upsells and cross sells until you can get them to their highest point of investment with you. For instance, if we're talking about coaching, I would say that if you have a free lead magnet, you advertise around that free lead magnet. In order for them to get that, they have to give you your name and email address, maybe even a phone number, and then you put them in an email nurture sequence over the next week or two to try to get them to upsell into, maybe it's a $27 mini course, or maybe it's a $79 full course on that specific topic that they were downloading the free lead magnet for. After they finish the course, you give them a coupon, and then they set up either they get access to a mastermind, or they do one-on-one coaching session with you, or whatever it is. And that gives you the big in, and that, kind of personal touch to then say, oh, this is where you're at as your business specifically. I think you should do this. Here's our high ticket offer, sign up. It's, $29.97, for the next 2 years access. And we do all these things for you. And that's what I would do.
Excellent. And with the email, and there's so many different platforms, MailChimp, and which one have you found to be the better one?
Yeah, so I'll admit I'm not an email marketing expert by any means, and that's why we have a team. But I've used both Klaviyo and MailChimp. I would say for people that are more experienced with email campaigns, Klaviyo is great. I think it allows for a lot more design elements. I think the automations and the flows in there are really great. If you're just getting into email marketing, MailChimp is more than fine. It actually kind of helps too. If you're not super experienced with design and email campaigns and generating that, it gives you a smaller sandbox to play in, which is actually super helpful.
And everyone's got a kind of a different opinion on when you're emailing them and how often you email them. I suppose if we take it from a new lead that you're trying to go through the whole process of getting the different sales, is it one a day a good way, or is it kind of overkill? Like, have you found a sweet spot on that? Because there's some people, they'll give you 5 a day. There's others one a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Yeah, even as a marketer, I get really, really annoyed with the 1 a day emails. I usually unsubscribe by the second or third day if I realize that you're going to email me every day until I convert. There are some people out there, I mean, like Russell Brunson, for example, the creator of ClickFunnels. You sign up for any of his stuff and he's sending you at least one email a day. He's someone where like I'm only subscribed to his stuff when I'm like waiting for the webinar to come out. After the webinar is done, I unsubscribe because I can't stand it. But there's another guy that I follow on YouTube that's a marketer, and he mainly works with like websites and like YouTube stuff. But I get an email from him maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I only read about half of them, but I haven't unsubscribed from him. I've been subscribed for probably close to a year now. So it really depends on the person. People that aren't in their email as much as I am probably, be fine to do one a day because you want to try to grab their attention. But my email is open 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if I'm constantly getting emails in from one particular person, I'm just going to unsubscribe. So it really depends on the user. I would say you could try it, do A/B testing. That's what I say for everything in marketing. A/B test, try one a day. If you get a lot of unsubscribes, then space it out over a week. Do 3 in a week instead and see how that goes.
And I do the exact same thing with Russell Brunson because, with Dan Kennedy and like you just get bombarded.
Yeah.
But sometimes you see an offer and you go, "Ooh, I'm interested in listening to it," because they
Exactly.
do provide good content. And yeah, they just unsubscribe. So just like say the branding then, because getting your branding right, and there's kind of two different things. There's like branding the individual or branding the business, and sometimes people separate them.
Mhm.
Are you better off kind of keeping, say, the person and the business as one, or kind of keeping them separate? Because sometimes, like, they're doing different things over the years and they might have a few things going.
Yeah. I think this really comes down to your marketing strategy. First thing that you should be developing before launching any sort of organic or paid strategy is actually identifying who your demographic is, exactly what type of person, get age range, gender, their occupation, their pain points, and build the avatar. And then you market to that avatar with your brand, but specific to that avatar. For example, we just did a strategy session with a epoxy coating flooring company here in the States. They're down in Louisiana. I was building out their strategy yesterday. I have 4 different demographics because they do commercial and residential. And then inside of commercial and residential, there are different types of professionals and different people that they would market to. So inside of any ad campaign that we launch with them, messaging that we launch with them, press releases, whatever it is, it's going to be focused on who that demographic is that we're going after. So when we build out ad campaigns, I will have different demographic variations in there for that ad. Then I'll set another ad that's got going after the other demographic, and it's probably going to be something completely different. They'll add different copy, different creatives, or whatever it is to make sure you meet them where they are at. So that's what I would say. When it comes to email campaigns, I would say you have to break it down based on where they're at in their customer journey. So you still have your demographics, but if someone just subscribed to you, then maybe it is beneficial to send them more emails than not to help showcase all of your expertise, all the things that you want them to get plugged into to kind of retain them. If they're farther along in the journey, you probably don't need to email them every day. You might just need to do kind of check-in emails or do upsell or cross-sell emails or something to keep them engaged.
And with websites then and kind of landing pages, because if somebody's got, say, 4 different offers and they're targeting different things, what I see is sometimes they might have website slash and the different offer, so people can easily go in and start checking out, and it might hurt them, mightn't. And then other times people have a just unique domain just for the landing page, so they just keep them there. Is there advantages to using either option?
Yeah, there's some advantages and disadvantages. Depending on the program, if you have a dedicated URL to it, it helps you really kind of hone in and segregate your clientele there, your demographic. The hard part is for people that are smaller or just getting started with their programs, and they're not making, hundreds of thousands or millions every year, is essentially you have to build 2 SEO plans. So your 2 search engine optimization plans, because you have 2 different websites. So that means you have to get double the amount of backlinks, double the amount of copywriting done, double the amount of design, double the amount of website hosting, and it gets pretty costly. So when you have a backslash, with a specific landing page on your home site can still increase in your domain authority. You can still have it rank better. You can have all the keywords and everything. You can have all the backlinks going to that. And it's a little bit easier that way when you're getting started because the costs are a lot more efficient. So that's really what it comes down to is like, do you have the time, effort, and finances to put into 2 SEO plans? Or would you rather just keep it into one?
No, excellent. Just finally, I'm looking at your mic. It looks nice. I don't know what mic that is, but you might let me know what kind of mic you're using and the camera as well, because you've got a nice picture as well.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's a Sterling. I don't know the model number. I, I'm kind of a I used to be, at least. I used to be kind of a nerd with microphones. I have a background in broadcast and audiovisual production for live events, mainly as an audio engineer. And I was an audio producer for a few years when I was younger as well. So when it comes to audio and video equipment between my occupations over the years, I kind of get a little stuck up with it. But the camera is actually an older camera. It's a Sony A7 III. And I think it's a Tamron 20 24 to 75 lens, I think is what it is, or 28 to 75. So I think right now you could probably pick both of that body and lens up for probably under $1,000.
And Sterling, you said the mic was, yeah?
Yes.
I never heard of that, but I just know from the sound, the quality, it's very good. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, not perfect. Listen, totally enjoyed it. You might let the listeners know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can check our website out at www.aspbranding.com. If you want to get in contact with me, you can do info@aspbranding.com. You can also take a look at Atomic Souls Productions on YouTube, and that's most of our social handles that you can find out there. We release a lot of videos about local SEO and local marketing for businesses and home service professionals on YouTube. And then we also release a lot of short form content on Instagram and TikTok as well in the same vein.
No, excellent. I'll make sure I'll put all the links, both the audio and the video. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roy.
So that's all for the Podfather. You'll find all the episodes on podfather.me. You'll find my 6 podcasts, scan the QR code, or go to roycollin.com. And if you're looking for a virtual assistant, go to va.world. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends. Until next week, take care.